Slow, deliberate rand. It is a number so large it begins to lose its meaning. But in South Africa, that figure represents the life savings and retirement security of millions of public sector workers, all held within the government employees' pension fund. The quiet giant tasked with managing all this money is the Public Investment Corporation. The PIC collects these individual contributions and pours that capital outward, funding everything from national infrastructure and commercial property to publicly traded companies. Because of this massive footprint, the PIC stands alone as the single largest investor on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. When you control that much of the domestic economy, every move matters. If an institution of this scale stumbles, it directly threatens the foundation of the country's public retirement system and the stability of its broader capital markets. Faster, urgent emergence of a massive leadership void at the top of the corporation has triggered widespread alarm. Over a highly compressed period, 8 directors have simultaneously resigned from the corporation's board. This wave of executive departures hit right as the institution's chief executive, Patrick Dlamini, was suspended from his post. Dlamini's suspension stems from an active investigation into allegations raised by a whistleblower, leaving the executive suite empty while investigators sort out the claims. With the CEO sidelined and 8 board directors gone, a glaring question emerges: who is actually steering the largest asset manager in Africa? This mass exodus creates a structural vacuum right where the national economy requires absolute certainty. Among the high-profile exits was Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo, who had been serving as the board's chairperson. In announcing his departure, Masondo stated that stepping down was a necessary move to put the institution's stability ahead of his own position. He recognized that remaining in the chair amid the ongoing turbulence would only create further distraction, risking the confidence of the millions of pensioners who rely on the fund. But the internal resignations are only half the problem. The corporation is simultaneously facing intense pressure from the outside. South Africa's financial regulator has stepped in, launching a separate independent review into the institution's governance practices. When regulatory bodies begin digging through the operations of an organization already bleeding executive talent, the internal chaos inevitably accelerates. All of this turbulence stands in stark contrast to what the PIC is mandated to be: a bedrock of stability, capable of supporting South African businesses through their own challenging periods. The corporation is caught in a dangerous negative feedback loop. Internal collapse invites external scrutiny, which further erodes market confidence, threatening the core operations the PIC was built to execute. To stop the bleeding, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has announced he will assemble and appoint an entirely new board. This new leadership group will have a primary mandate: advancing the Appoint Commission governance recommendations, identifying and fixing the structural flaws that allowed this crisis to develop. Their secondary target is the unlisted investment portfolio, private market investments requiring immediate governance reform and tighter controls. The finance minister's intervention serves a specific purpose: patching deep structural vulnerabilities so the capital can safely resume its role in driving economic development. Whoever steps into these roles will walk into a highly scrutinized environment, inheriting a complex twofold mandate from day one. First, they must immediately stabilize operations and safeguard one of the African continent's largest pools of institutional capital from any further disruption. Second, they have to prove to both the public and regulators that the internal reforms already underway can actually survive this period of intense executive turnover. They will have to do all of this under the watchful eye of Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. The committee has publicly demanded an orderly and transparent transition, pushing for the establishment of interim governance arrangements to ensure the work of the PIC doesn't stall while the new board gets up to speed. Ultimately, the success of these incoming directors will test whether the institution's newly implemented structural reforms are resilient enough to withstand temporary leadership chaos. At the macro level, the PIC stands as a core pillar of the nation's economic infrastructure. The stakes are incredibly interconnected. When the corporation thrives, it pumps vital capital into companies and projects, keeping the market stable. But when it falters, the resulting financial shockwave hits everything from individual pensioners to the largest listed companies. Establishing a stable and credible leadership structure over 3 trillion rand serves as the ultimate barometer for confidence in South Africa's entire financial architecture.